Hey Universe, it's Joe.
Hi, it's John Tantillo.
Hey, it's Tommy.
Hey, it's Taryn. The stage is set.
The matches have been made.
All that's left to do is pick the winners.
Friend versus friend.
Host versus host.
But in the end, there can only be one.
There can only be one.
There can only be one.
There can only be one Tag Me and Bro champion.
And it will be
Me.
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 And it will be me.
Well, hello, Tag Me in Bro Universe. This is your undisputed Tag Me in Bro World Heavyweight Champion, Tommy Rowe, coming off a successful defense at Hell in a Cell, talking to you about the show that was Hell in a Cell. As the champion, it is my duty, nay, my privilege, to give you my thoughts on the show. I know you're all following along on my live tweet, so you get a little bit of an idea of what I'm thinking about the show already, but as we come off Hell in a Cell and move to this kind of weird period in between now and Super Showdown, but let's be honest, it's more about Evolution and Survivor Series, but that is okay. We need to look back at the show and see what we liked, see what we hated, and more importantly, see what I liked and what I hated. We'll just take the show from beginning to end, including what is actually my probably second favorite match on the card, which was Rusev Day versus The New Day. The New Day successfully defended their SmackDown Tag Team titles in what was a very quick, very solid match. Everyone got a lot of good offense in, except for Aiden English, who got a lot of heavy bumps in. I always love to see Big E's crazy suicide dive that he does almost every match, and I am so afraid that he is going to die every single time, and look, he doesn't, so I'm happy. There was also that crazy Machka kick right to Kofi Kingston's face as he did like that tope over the top rope, which was sick. Beyond that, the match was just really spot heavy, but super quick. Even the verbal sparring before the beginning of the match was hilarious. I hope that their rematch on SmackDown Live is a sing-off. I would love that. It's interesting to see them plant the seeds also for a little breakup. We almost got it before with Aiden English and Rusev, but they have even more reason to now that a sort of miscommunication cost them the title shot that they had at Hell in a Cell.
This didn't have the wide-ranging implications of like a really huge match, so let's just say it was actually pretty good. So I was happy with that.
Moving right along to what was one of the most brutal matches I've seen in quite a while. That's Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. I will say that last spot of Jeff Hardy falling onto the table, absolutely insane. Randy Orton moved way too early and made Jeff look like a dumbass by jumping into literally no one. But that is okay because earlier he stuck a screwdriver through Jeff Hardy's ear hole. I was at my parents' house when I was watching this show because I thought I'd hang out with them, why not? And they had to leave the room when he did that. And I almost did too. That shit was disgusting. I can't really tell you what else happened in the match beyond those two bits, other than, oh my gosh, when Randy Orton reversed that suplex into dropping Jeff Hardy on his abdomen on an upside-down ladder. You know that Jeff Hardy has been thinking about what he would do inside the cell all these years that he hasn't been in a match. Gosh, it was really hard to watch, and it really set the tone for what I thought was going to be a really brutal night, but ended up being kind of disappointing from here on out. Randy Orton picked up the win, which I think is the right decision because he still has miles to go on this heel run, and this is the perfect jumping off point for it. You can fuck me up with this match, but Jeff Hardy already got pretty fucked up, to be honest.
Next up is the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. This is exactly what we wanted to see. It was pretty good in-ring storytelling. I think they could have drawn it out a little bit more. I wanted to see more stare downs throughout the match. There's a lot of emotion here. It sucks that it's the wrong way around, and very obviously, the crowd is not taking to Becky Lynch as a heel. They want her to win, and they wanted her, and they popped for her when she won. I'm really happy of the way that it turned out. This was a really, really solid match. My read on it, indeed, actually good. Could have been a fuck me, but it was not. Next up was what has truly become, in the last 24 hours, an iconic tag team championship match between 2/3 of the Shield and 2/3 of the Pack, I guess is what we're supposed to call them. Seth and Dean versus Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Controversial opinion alert. I liked this match. I did not love this match. I loved the ending of this match, but it started really slow for me. These are 4 performers that you count on to bring the action, and they probably had to lengthen. This was, just in terms of time, a shorter show, and in terms of the number of matches. We only had 8 matches on the card in total, and that's including the pre-show. And if you started this match maybe 7 minutes into the end, it's near tag team perfection. It's great. And they continued the feud on later in the night to kind of cement how awesome this match was, because we were still invested. But the first few minutes were just a little bit slow. The false finishes, though, at the end, with Seth running around like a madman, Dean Ambrose reminding us how much we missed him over the last few months, Dolph Ziggler being truly one of the most underrated superstars in WWE, particularly as a heel, and Drew McIntyre showing that he has every tool in the toolbox, bag, or whatever else to be a true star in the company. This was a great match that kind of played to everybody's strength. This is exactly what you want from a match like this that is 2 teams of individuals coming together. Obviously, yes, the Shield, lots of history, but they've gone off on their own and they've proven themselves as individuals. So you need to be able to keep that individuality going forward, and that's exactly what each member of this group of 4 did. There were spots galore in this match, false finishes, but you have to talk about that Claymore kick right to the face of Seth Rollins. It was absolutely insanely brutal to watch, and Ziggler picked up the 1-2-3. I like the way that they are doing this, that they're trying to position Drew McIntyre as the brute, the true heavy in this group. He literally carried Dolph Ziggler out on his back. This is the dichotomy that I like to see in this group, because to me, the person with the greater upside, because Dolph has seen his best days, is Drew McIntyre. This was an actually good match, hindered by a bit of a slow start. Next up, the WWE Championship match, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. This was a really solid match. It didn't really blow anyone's mind because we expected the quality of in-ring competition to be great. Joe was as nasty with AJ as he was in his promos. It started off very one-sided and kind of continued on. There were a couple of nice comebacks from AJ Styles, but Joe really countered almost everything. He cut AJ off from using those tools that we love to watch him use. That's jumping off the ropes and using his more high-flying abilities. The finish kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really expect it. I was actually composing a tweet at the time, and just this Insecurity went right into a Coquina clutch, which then turned Samoa Joe over on his back, and then AJ Styles tapped out as the ref counted 3. It's an intelligent way to keep the feud going into what is a very quick turnaround for Super Showdown, but it is a little disappointing to not see WWE Championship matches ever end. This is the first of the 2 World Championship matches of the night that really ends without a true ending. I mean, there is no finish here. There is an end to the match, but we want to see decisive results. I mean, Samoa Joe lost against Roman Reigns at Backlash, and just a few months later, he's fighting for the WWE Championship, and no one has a problem with that logically. I just don't understand why people can't lose every so often. I really think this is reminiscent, kind of not in a great way, of how they elongated Styles Nakamura. That feud just kept going and going for a long time, and it got stale after a while. I don't want to have a stale taste in my mouth after this feud. I think we need something more definitive. This match was a little bit turbulent for me, just kind of let down by the expectation, but hopefully it's just a stepping stone for what will be an awesome feud. And next up, the mixed tag team match between Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus Miz and Mrs. I thought this match was really solid, but I think the star of this match for me was Brie Bella. She really has a very oddly large amount of in-ring psychology. She's able to tell that story of trying to get her hands on Maurice any chance she gets. I like the way that The Miz and Maurice are playing up this cowardice. They don't want their beautiful Hollywood faces to get punched in by two people who have damn good reasons to do it. The story in this particular match was Brie trying to get her hands on Maurice, and The Miz just saving her over and over again, and Maurice escaping over and over again. And when she finally got her hands on her, like, hey, I don't think anyone has been excited and given a hot tag to Brie Bella, certainly never Nikki Bella, but I was super, super hyped for it. And I'll tell you, when Maurice was taking those kind of face hits onto the announce table, I was so disappointed to see how not close she got her face and how many more times she hit it with her hand even after Brie stopped smacking her face on it. One other thing that was really surprising to see was Daniel Bryan pulling out that diving headbutt. Nikki Bella fucked up her neck, so she stopped doing the thing that super fucked up her neck. If you have a history of brain injuries, it is okay for you to stop diving headfirst into people. I don't know if anyone has told you that, but I am. Please stop. This match was turbulent, a borderline flop, but saved by Brie Bella popping me hard. And next up was the Raw Women's Championship match, Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. This match was really a story of Ronda selling that rib injury. This is not something that was super ingrained in our heads on Monday Night Raw, but definitely became clear that this was Alexa Bliss's route to victory. She attacked the ribs the entire time, and really it started paying dividends, particularly when Ronda Rousey started to try to hit those power moves like that judo throw and that really cool, like, over the back twisting whatever Death Valley Driver looking thing, which is sick. There was some fun moments of outside the ring action between Natalya, Mickie James, Alicia Fox. That brutal double cross body that just left them both in a heap was like kind of hard to watch. But from there, Rousey got back on her feet. She gave that power bomb, but she wasn't able to follow up because of those injured ribs. And I think that's how you create cracks in the armor of Ronda Rousey. Obviously, we're not going to see her lose the title anytime soon. She's not even defending it at the Super Showdown. Will she defend it at Evolution? I hope so. But I think the way that you book her in the best way is to say that her heel opponents have to outsmart her, because no one's going to outpower Ronda Rousey, but if they can be smarter than she is, it will work in their favor. The armbar was pretty quick after that, and within no time, like, she had the armbar not even all the way locked in, and Alexa Bliss tapped the fuck out. This match was actually good. Borderline on turbulent, because there really isn't enough story baked into their feud quite yet. It'll be really interesting to see where it goes from here, because no one is really in that super heel kind of position, unless we see Bailey, Sasha. I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. And finally, the main event. Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, defending against Braun Strowman. It's just what is so difficult about matches that end the way that this did, in the same way that the WWE Championship match did, is that you feel a lack of conclusion. And I understand that that's good for telling a longer-term story, but wrestling needs to have these bookends, and we didn't get that. And I actually popped for Brock Lesnar to return, probably more pop for that dope-ass beard, but he came back and he ripped the door off. He just came into the ring and he beat the shit out of both of them. But not to take Roman Reigns and drag his arm over Braun Strowman or the other way around. That, to me, leaves everything unfinished. And if that's what you were trying to do, great. But I just don't think it's the most effective way. We also could conceivably say, does Braun Strowman still hold his Money in the Bank briefcase because the match ended in a no contest, meaning that the match technically didn't end up happening? That's an interesting question to take going forward. Is he going to be able to cash it in again? A couple things to note in this match. Mick Foley accidentally counting 3, maybe 2 times, definitely on camera counting 3, Roman Reigns going down for the count for a count of 3 on camera, and then Braun Strowman getting pissed about it. Fair. Mick Foley, I understand. You've had a long and illustrious career. Don't count 3 in the middle of a match unless it's the end of the match. But that's exactly what I mean, look at what the real finish was. I would have rather it been this surprise kind of in the middle of the match, 1, 2, 3, than how it ended up. It's hard to not harp on the end of this match because generally we don't look at Roman Reigns as a phenomenal worker. We kind of just look at him as he goes from point to point to point. There was some crazy on top of the cell fighting between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre and Seth and Dean. When they climbed up, I was real worried that they were all going to die. That was a very exciting part. That's a look through your fingers type section of this match. Obviously, the moment that they started climbing down, except for like right at the beginning when it looked like Dolph Ziggler was missing those footholds that are cut out of the cell, I thought he was legitimately going to die. But when they started climbing down together, Ziggler and Seth, you knew that they were going to go through those 2 tables. It doesn't make it any less exciting when 2 dudes just go through a bunch of announce tables from 15 feet in the air. That shit is crazy to watch. I assume that Dean Ambrose and Drew McIntyre are still on top of that cell, fighting to the death. But I guess we'll have to see during Raw. I think you can really sum this match up just by the fact that we didn't really see a lot from Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. It's defined by 5 characters who are outside of the one-on-one contest. This is Brock Lesnar and Seth and Dean and Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. The match was not the main part. It was all of this external satellite stuff. This sort of match didn't feel like a main event. It felt like a surprise ending of Raw more than anything else. Going forward, this isn't the sort of action to hang your hat on. It's tweet-worthy. It's not super in-depth, well-analyzed, well-researched podcast-worthy. You know what I mean? This match was turbulent. Always exciting to see the belt back on any sort of WWE programming, but we're kind of getting back into this familiar territory. We'll see where it goes. And that is your Tag Me In Bro World Heavyweight Champions review of Hell in a Cell. Was it a good show? In parts, absolutely. It was well worth watching certain matches on the card. There are some things that you can just kind of pick up from the recap, though. And that to me is not the mark of a great show. That's a mark of a good show. We have a lot of pay-per-views coming up in the next weeks and months. I really hope that the writing team is up for it. These are big moments that they kind of have to capitalize on, especially Evolution. This is a really important pay-per-view to make a big splash. Let's hope they're up to it, because this is not really the way that you create history. This is how you get to moments of history. We've set ourselves up for a very eventful fall and early winter in WWE programming with this pay-per-view, so long as Jeff Hardy is still alive.